Hi, beautiful viewers. How are you doing? Welcome to Serenity TV, where we'll bring you real life gist, bring you interesting stories and interesting conversations. My name is Gloria, and today we're going to be discussing something very important. We're going to be talking about failure in leadership and life lessons. And believe you me, a lot of people tend to think that when you fail, it's something bad. We celebrate success, forgetting the fact that failure is actually the real teacher when it comes to life. So today we'll be discussing about failure in leadership and life lessons, the lessons it teaches us in life. And today in the studio, I have with me Mr. Obiora. Mr. Obiora, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
So Mr. Obiora here will be discussing this particular topic with us, and he'll be sharing his insights on this topic. He'll be telling us more about leadership. So Mr. Obiora, failure in leadership and life lessons. The word failure itself, what exactly is failure in leadership? When you use the word leadership, what does it mean?
We'll start by defining leadership. Leadership is leading, directing people, influencing them, motivating them in a particular environment, in a company, or in a state, or in a country. So leadership is like when it's not like exerting authority over people. It's like directing them. You're being found among people. Say, okay, please, we have found you worthy for you to be able to lead. Sometimes they are voted in through election, and all that. Or sometimes they assume the ladder, they climb the ladder by in the civil service. You climb at the number of service years you've stayed and all that. So leadership is a role given. It doesn't really. A lot of people start at the same time, but they must have looked at you and this person can actually lead. And leadership means to serve the people.
Yeah.
If I may understand, because sometimes people misunderstand leadership as kind of an authority, exerting authority. No, the real leadership is when you serve the people.
Okay. Now we are talking about failure in leadership. When you, like you said, leadership means serving the people. It's not about the authority. So what exactly does it mean when you fail in leadership?
When you fail in leadership, is like because as a leader, you have your set out goals to achieve. Then there are rules there. So sometimes you might make a mistake as a leader. You might say, you might take a decision which you feel, this decision will have moved this company forward or will have moved this state forward. And you now realize, I didn't do it well, or you didn't have the right team, or you didn't take the right steps you're supposed to take. It doesn't really mean that you have failed. You might fail at that particular time. Just for example, someone that developed the bulb we're using said he failed almost 999 times. Wow. It was at 1,000 times that he was able to succeed in making the bulb and all that. So leadership, you learn in leadership.
All right.
You actually learn as a leader too.
All right.
You build capacity when you're leading too.
Okay, thank you very much. You talked about leadership. Failing in leadership doesn't actually necessarily mean that you have to fail. But let's talk about the fear of failure. Because in leadership, because we're discussing leadership now, a lot of people feel that, no, I mustn't fail. If I fail, people looking at me, a lot of people are looking up to me out there. How would they? Let's talk about the fear of failure.
All right. The fear of failure, that's even what makes people to fail in it, because you don't have to have that fear that you have to fail, or you say, I will not fail.
Okay.
That's the number one. But when you have in mind that while you're doing that thing as well, you're learning, that's when that fear of leadership, that's when the fear of failure goes out. But when you're uptight, you're scared before you take a decision, how will I do this? I think leadership, you take risk.
Yeah.
It's all about it. Sometimes you can take a risk. Let me see whether this thing will work. And if it works, better. But if it doesn't work, you go back to your drawing board to look at where you didn't do right, where you didn't do that, and be able to put things together for you to be able to do better. I don't think failure in leadership means that I fell out, or when I assume a position as a leader, I said, no, I won't fail. No, definitely. You make a mistake. And it's out of that your mistake, out of that your failure, that you build your strength.
When we're talking about the failure in leadership, I think one of the reasons people fear to fail is the criticism. A lot of people feel like, okay, I'll be criticized if I fail. Like you talk about assuming an official position, whereby you know that, okay, a lot of people are vying for this particular position and you have been given the chance to actually assume that position. Now, your mind is just to make things right, to make sure that you do things accordingly. there is this fear that, okay, what if I do this thing wrong? People are going to criticize me. I'll be criticized for this. And people fear. And like you said earlier, when you fear, you actually fail. Because once that fear is there, you tend to make more wrongs. Now, let's talk about you as a person. Before you now, in your years, before you got to where you are today, there has been setback. There have been a lot of setbacks and failure that has been able to push you and bring you to where you are exactly today. Now, let's talk about the failures and setback you experienced as a person.
Oh, thank you. That's a very important term. There's a very important thing you said. Let's look at it, the word about for you to be criticized. I mean, critic.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be criticized, that means you cannot lead. Because as a leader, people will always criticize you. Even when you have not fed, even when you're doing the right thing, you must be criticized. And that is the only time you'll be able to know whether you're doing well or not. In life, people must criticize you. And that's your driving, that's your
force.
Your driving force that makes you, that puts you on check to know. Because if you're not being criticized, you're not a leader. And if you cannot accept people's criticism, you're not a leader. So as a leader, you should be able to have it in mind and you should be able to accept when people criticize you. And again, you're supposed to be able to have a listening ear as a leader, because that's another important tool as a leader. Because most times, if you don't listen, there's no way you'll be able to make those corrections and know what the people are talking about. And if you're not being criticized, there's no way you know you're doing the wrong thing. And it's when people criticize you, that's when you'll be able to say, oh, I'm not doing right in this place. I have to change this one. I have to do that one. And it's not every criticism is bad. Some are good.
Okay.
And in everything, you need the critics. You need the people. You need them, because that's the people that will fuel you up. That's the people that will move you up. That's the people that will make you know, that put you on check all the time. Because if you're not being put on check as a leader, definitely you're going to make you're going to make a very big mistake.
Okay, that's very, very beautiful. So in this case now, critic is actually one of the driving force for every leader. Now, about you as a person.
Okay, about me as a person, when I started, I'm not a medical doctor. I inherited a hospital from my dad.
Okay.
Ikenebo Hospital. That was 20 years ago. So it was a big challenge coming into a field where everybody believed you must be a medical personnel, a medical practitioner to be able to run a hospital. But I return all glory, all honor to Almighty God. I owe him that. I asked for wisdom and he gave me wisdom. So